It's not simply an art piece. It's not a decoration. It is a home. Nowhere on this earth is water changing every week. Most fish live in tightly packed, compact areas where they are secure. Look at this tank behind me. It's loaded with cover. Just all kinds of cover. Do you see these fish look panicky at all? Well, hello. Come right on in. You're at Father Fish. I've been at this hobby now for 75 years, since I was a child. And I have a greater interest today in understanding the behavior of the fish than I ever have. And I've learned over the last 20 or 30 years that the very best way to learn about the natural behavior of fish is to put them in an environment that is as close to a natural environment as is possible. Clearly, if you're going to put a group of fish, a group of neons in a 10-gallon tank with plastic plants and a bare bottom, you're not going to learn much about how neons react to each other or act naturally at all, because they will not be in a natural environment. They'll be in an environment so far from their natural one that they really will not be able to behave in anything like a normal way. I had people tell me they don't like a lot of plants in the fish and they don't like a lot of stuff in the tank because they want their fish to be free to swim. Those people don't know much about fish, because fish will only swim free and open, fish of the type we keep in our aquariums, if they're darting from one cover to the next cover. Anyone who has been out collecting with a net and gone through areas where there's no cover at all discovers there are no fish at all in those places. Whereas if you push your net through heavy grass or where there's other heavy hardscape like oyster shells, there will be many, many more fish in there. I've pushed my net through grass flats and caught hundreds, even thousands of little fish, shrimp, crabs, you name it. That's where they live. They live in cover. Look at this tank behind me. It's loaded with cover. Just all kinds of cover. Do you see these fish look panicky at all? Do they look like they're struggling, trying to push their way through the grass? They look peaceful. They're serene. I'm here to tell you they've been breeding. They are all over this tank. These are pencil fish. I think I have just females. Now here's some schools of smaller fish. They're in a more open area and they're moving about, more or less schooling. That's a different kind of behavior than these single fish. Fish in schools create their own camouflage. They do it by moving as a group. So they can be in more open water and to be camouflaged in that open water by virtue of the size of their colony, the size of the swarm of fish. But most fish do not do that. Most fish live in tightly packed, compact areas where they are secure. These guys are all over each other. That's a male and a female Lepisto, and they're looking for a place to build a nest. They haven't found one yet, but they're just looking all over. Here's another couple. Look at these serene, peaceful fish. The very notion that fish need large areas or open areas to swim in is not true at all. They need just the opposite. They need very close areas. They need areas where they can hide, where they can slink around, where they can find things, find food, and where they can be protected, and where they can be at peace, where they can not be darting around frightened. That's what a natural aquarium is. It's a place of peace, a place of serenity, a place where everything is growing and everything is thriving. It's a place of peace. And it is only in that peace, that serenity, that fish are able to function in a way that's really normal. You're not going to do that with plastic plants. It just will not work. You're not even going to do it with a quarter of an inch of gravel on the bottom of your tank, because all the dirt will be up swarming around in the tank. You'll be in there cleaning it all the time. You'll be startling the fish. They'll be darting around trying to avoid you. You'll be creating chaos. Water does not change every week. Nowhere on this earth is water changing every week. It simply isn't happening. There is evaporation and there is rain. Water evaporates and it rains. It's the same water. What that's doing is changing the hardness of the water. As it evaporates, the water becomes a bit harder. When it rains, it becomes a bit softer. The fish adjust to that. Very often, that will trigger breeding, because it will also trigger the growth of microfauna. It'll trigger breakdown of vegetable matter that will produce microscopic food for tiny baby fish, which triggers breeding. So all of these things work together. If you have to change your water once a week, you're doing something wrong. You're not doing something right. You're overfeeding. You have an environment that is not capable of handling the bioload you're putting in it. You're creating an environment of stress. Very large fish require very large containers to live in. And those containers can never be bare or nearly bare. The kinds of fish we keep in our aquariums are not pelagic. They're not like sharks and whales swimming the oceans free. Quite the opposite. They're fish, sometimes big fish, that live in ponds, lakes, creeks, and even rivers. And they stay around, they hover around, they live around cover, around rocks, around tree stumps, around whatever they can find that will give them not just a place to hide, but a place to lurk, a place to sit and wait for food to come by. Now, there are some fishermen in recent years who have discovered that very large fish in river systems tend to live in open water on the edge of a drop. They may live in the bottom of that drop or on the top of it, again waiting for food. These are fish who have grown so large that they have no fear at all of predation. But most fish do. And most fish choose to live in a way that provides some protection for them. So, if you're going to have Oscars that reach 8, 10, 12 inches long, you need to have 3 or 4 of them in at least a 125-gallon tank. And that would be small, but that would be adequate. However, you don't want that tank to be bare. They don't want to swim one end to the other back and forth. That's the kind of behavior that in zoo animals was finally diagnosed as cage mania, as depression and insanity. And so you want to have islands, large pieces of driftwood they can hide under, large piles of rock that they can get around that their babies, if they have them, will be able to hide in. And some very large plants. Now you can plant those plants in large tanks with a deep substrate, a dirted substrate, and 4 inches or so of sand capped with a river rock, into which are planted a few very large plants. Not just one, 3 or 4, 5 or 6. If you have more than one, they may bother one, they won't bother them all. And they probably won't bother any of them. The rocks and driftwood create a barrier to digging. They also provide hardscape, a flat surface for these fish to lay their eggs on. Very often, when fish are digging, it's to try to get to hardscape. Hardscape is the very material that big fish require in order to be able to have the proper place to put their eggs. So they will clean a rock or even clean a piece of driftwood in order to lay their eggs, to provide a secure place for them to be while they're gestating before they hatch. A fish will dig looking for hardscape, looking for a hard place to lay their eggs. So if you had that right on the surface, they're not going to need to dig. The issue of the size of fish is one that has stymied fish keepers who really enjoy and appreciate very large fish. They have not been able to imagine how it could even be possible to establish a natural environment for those fish. I maintain that the only way to keep those fish that are going to allow them to be healthy and allow them to live in ways that are normal is to have as close as you can possibly get to a natural environment. Now, when I talk about natural environments for small fish, I also add in the concept of a food web, that is, of material in the tank capable of providing nutrients for microfauna and macrofauna for the natural food of very small fish. That's not possible to do with very large fish, unless you do what is actually required, put them in a pond or a 10-foot by 10-foot pool, a large pool. If you can do that, then you can build that large pool or that pond or even an extremely large tank in such a way as to be able to create natural environments. You need to understand what an aquarium really, really is. It's not simply an art piece. It's not a decoration. It is a home, a living environment, a place where you can bring certain kinds of animals where they will be at peace, where they would be interested, where they will be healthy, where they will be able to function in a normal way. Work toward that. Try to achieve that. We have lots of help for folks working on just that. We have hundreds of people on our Father Fish Shoal every day who are discussing these very issues and looking for ways to be able to improve the environment they're creating for fish. This is the way fish ought to be kept in a natural environment. Work toward that. Don't take pride in plastic. Don't take pride in the number of chemicals you can throw in a tank. There is no real satisfaction in that. There's only stress for you and for the fish. Find peace. Find the peace that comes from putting together a nurturing, natural aquarium. Join us. Share with us. Love you all. Bye for now.